This one comes to us from the Friendly Atheist blog at patheos.com, and we use a lot of stuff from him. Thank you, Hemant. We really appreciate all the great stuff you do, because you make us going through the news a lot easier, because you have your finger on the pulse of the atheist America out there. So anyway, this story is about Tucker Carlson, who was who was talking about Brett Kavanaugh recently, and I'm glad Felicia's standing up for this one. She's not here for it. She'll be right back for it. But his argument goes like this. A Christian theocracy would probably involve conservatives punishing people for acts they deem immoral. Therefore, liberals going after the conservative Brett Kavanaugh for anything that he did in high school amounts to a theocracy run by atheists.
Promise?
That's not how it works.
So here's the quote from Tucker here. He says, "No, I'm old enough to remember when the left sincerely worried."
I'm sorry. I got. You mean the white supremacist Tucker?
Yes.
To remember when the left sincerely worried, or said that they did, about the right turning this into some kind of theocracy and imposing its puritanical values on the rest of the country. You mean like they're currently doing right now?
You mean like yesterday?
Like they're doing right now.
Also, he says liberals. Honey, I'm not a liberal. I'm a socialist.
And I'm not a liberal. I'm a progressive. I want this country to progress out of the goddamn swamp that it's in right now.
Yeah, can I just be a radical?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm also a radical. I'm a radical.
Okay,
like,
we'll go with that.
Status quo.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, anyway, so the rest of the quote here is the irony, of course, is that they're doing it right now. It's kind of a theocracy run by atheists, where the minor, smallest, and I hate him for you. Fuck you, Tucker, for using this word. The smallest peccadillos from your teen years are now disqualifying. Is that really the standard we want?
Yeah, it is actually.
So,
when you sexually assault someone as a teenager,
that's not a peccadillo. That's not a peccadillo. Nope.
No, but when you do a bad thing as a teenager, yeah, I think
you never face any punishment for it. You never face any kind of backlash for it at all. You just continue to long to live your fucking Chad existence, and then go on to being the circuit judge, and then you get to be on the appellate court, and then you get to be fucking Supreme Court. Really?
Yeah. No, it's
nice privilege you got there, buddy.
It kind of goes to, kind of speaks to character. It doesn't matter if you're the type of person who, as a teenager, would sexually assault somebody. You have a deficiency of character.
I have a question. What's a theocracy of atheists?
I don't know.
It looks
is it just
I enjoy craft beer and fucking. That's what a theocracy by atheists is.
Yeah, a theocracy of atheists is like, I don't know, hold people accountable and you do you otherwise.
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
Except, I mean, the only downside is it would like implode every 5 years because we can't keep shit together.
Ha! Oh God, atheists.
It's almost like we're just a collection of people with a bunch of different ideas who share. But
the only thing we have in common is a non-belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a lot to build a perspective around. Or an identity around.
It makes me. I was gonna say, it makes me laugh that I at one point thought of my identity. My biggest point of my identity is the fact that I'm an atheist. It's like, that's not a whole lot to build on top of. A non-belief is not something to build.
It's really
on top
not.
of.
There's nothing to go from there. I feel like I've been saying this for years, though. Like, once we've like talked about the one thing, we're like, okay, that's the end of that question. Yeah. Moving
Next.
on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that still haven't even been able to get out of easy mode. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they're still functioning in, like, Bible bad. I'm smart. Okay, cool. Cool.
I had a
way to explore ideas there.
And this is just going back to something we've said in the past, because I saw somebody had at work the other day, and it's a person I could talk to about certain things like this, where he had Rick Sanchez, the episode where he about commits suicide during the ending credits.
Yeah, yeah.
And he had the picture of Rick like passed out drunk on top of his desk, like, and I'm like, So what do you think about that like whole episode and that whole character that you got going on there? He's like, oh, I love Rick and Morty. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't exactly explain what you think of Rick. What do you think of Rick? Well, he's smart. I'm like, well, yeah. And he's kind of an asshole. I'm like, yeah, he uses his intelligence as an excuse to be an asshole. He uses his intelligence to be a misanthrope.
And it's largely unfulfilling for his being.
Yeah, and there was they got into really great metaphysical discussions with this person about how he's like fair to Midland evil, because they had that whole episode where they're talking about the other Ricks, and there's a whole bunch of them that were evil, and he was like dead center next to the other one that was in that episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was just like, yeah, so how do you think, how good of a life do you think that he's having when he is, you know, constantly trying to numb the pain within himself? I'm like, how good of an existence is that? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you go to the episode where he does Pickle Rick. He does that as an excuse to get out of having to go to therapy to actually try to overcome the shit that was wrong with him. And in the car, you have both Morty and you have the sister, Summer? Summer. Sitting in the back seat, where they're like, hey, that was a pretty good therapy session. I think we should go to more of those. And Rick and his daughter are just like, no, we don't need any of that. That's for stupid people. That therapist was so fucking wrong. And it's just like, oh God, the cycle continues, you know, because anyway, I just thought it was interesting that this person that's an atheist also brought up this whole Rick and Morty thing. And I'm like, you know, you shouldn't use smartness as an ability to get out of being an asshole. You know, you should be culpable.
Yeah, your intelligence isn't an excuse.
No.
It's
I guess
not.
that's where I was going with that, because just
you're not justified in being a shit human being because you're smart. And also, you're probably not as smart as you think you are. In fact, intelligence is largely unable to be measured. In fact, like, I mean, we look at people with certain intellectual disabilities, for instance. They have trouble learning and they have trouble advancing in certain intellectual ideas, but they excel in kindness and empathy and connection. And they excel in areas that are very different than people who are, quote unquote, high intelligence. Like, the thing about intelligence is that it just doesn't exist on a singular cis white male spectrum. Rationality is not aside from emotion. And the thing about intelligence is that it doesn't just manifest in one way. And so, however fucking smart you think you are, you're not. You can learn from somebody else. You can benefit from somebody else's experience. You can
always improve on what you think is perfection.
And at the end of the day, you're fucking vulnerable. You can't hide from vulnerability. And that's what a lot of these people who think that they are so smart can do, is hide from their vulnerability. They can hide.
With a veneer of being an asshole.
Exactly. I'm smarter than you. And now I don't have to be vulnerable. That's not how this fucking works. One day or another, you're going to be vulnerable and you're going to need someone else to show the fuck up for you. So you can either practice it now, or you can just like be shit out of luck once you get there.
Or so what you're trying to tell me is MythCon people. Got it. I understand.
Yes.